Anytime I'm teaching a student, I always make sure that they're signing. And anytime I'm taking a lash appointment, like anytime I take a client, I'm always making sure that client signs.
Never had that forbidden fruit. Never drank from the fountain of youth. Who would've been?
Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about the top 4 legal documents that every lash technician should have. Before we start, I want you to subscribe to the Girl Lash Tribe if you haven't already. Also turn your post notifications on so that you don't miss a beat. I just released my eyelash extension training manuals that any aspiring or current lash tech can purchase if they're looking to refresh themselves on the latest techniques or to actually learn the skill, the craft of lashing. These manuals can also be used for any trainers that are in need of an advanced and trendy manual for their students, so go ahead and check that out. The links to all will be in the description box. Now, into the video. Top 4 documents that every lash technician should carry. The first one being consent forms. So consent forms, which I do sell on my website, what the consent form ensures is that the client is giving the lash technician complete consent to go ahead and perform the procedure that they're getting on them, that service. Before you do anything on anybody, you always want to make sure that they're signing a consent form. If any legal action should be taken against you, you can use that consent form as a document to ensure that the client did give you full permission to complete the service on them. Sometimes consent forms have medical portions on them where the client can go ahead and list any medical history that they have that would be beneficial to know before performing the lash procedure on them. So say for instance, if they've had an eye infection or if they've had any eye surgeries, these are all things that you should know before performing the service on them. So yes, the consent form is pretty much used to notify the client of all pros and cons, all risks associated with the lash extension process. Also to ensure that the client is giving you full consent, complete consent to go ahead and do the service for them. Again, they can be used as a legal document in court if needed. Number 2, the second form that you will need if you are a lash technician and you are training people are training waivers, of course. Training waivers are a document that you give to your students before training them, which can state your policy, it can state all licensing versus certification laws, can explain the payment plan. Training waivers are also put in place to make sure that whatever material you're using to train your students does not get plagiarized by your student or anybody that comes across whatever material you're teaching. I do sell training manuals on my website, www.lashboulevard.com. If you're interested in them, then go ahead and check out the description box so you can purchase your own. Anytime I'm teaching a student, I always make sure that they're signing a training waiver before we conduct the course, before they even give me a payment. And anytime I'm taking a lash appointment, like anytime I take a client, I'm always making sure that client signs a consent form. Number 3, client intake forms. So anytime you get a new client, you're always going to want to make sure that they fill out a client intake form, which can also be at the top of a consent form. But a client intake form is just basic information on that client. It can have their name, their number, their address. It can have their medical history as well. It can have portions where they can list any other lash technicians they have went to, just so you can get a feel of their lash extension history. The client intake form is basically a record of the client that you can keep in your file cabinet so that if you need to reference it for whatever reason, even if you have sales and promotion, like all your clients get a special discount for their birthday, you can go ahead and reference the client intake form so that you can make sure that you keep track of when their birthday is. Pretty much just a form that has all the information of your client on there as it pertains to lash extension police. The 4th very important document that you should always have if you are taking lash models would be a model release waiver, of course. A model release waiver basically ensures that the model gives you full consent to practice whatever service you're practicing on them. So specific example, say for instance, you are doing a lash course, you're training a student and they need to bring in a model so that they can actually have practice on an actual human. It's highly suggested for that model to sign a model release form and to be notified of all the risks, cons, pros, whatever of the service, kind of like a consent form, but specifically for models. Now, a few things that are on the model release form are consent to have pictures taken and be posted on social media, consent to actually be a practice model for whatever reason is needed for them to be a practice model, information that notifies them of all the pros and the cons, a portion where they're actually giving consent to be the practice model and they have read the document in its entirety and agreed to everything, a portion to make sure they understand that a student will you'll be practicing on them that most likely does not have much experience in lash extensions as of that moment. So yes, model release waivers are very important if you ever come across a time where you're actually going to need a model for your student, you need a model for yourself. Number 5, this is a bonus, and this is an obvious one. You're going to need your license, of course. If you are a licensed lash tech, if you are a licensed esthetician, licensed cosmetologist, a registered nurse, because they can also perform lash extensions, then you're going to have to make sure that you have that as well in whatever suite, whatever booth you're working in, anything like that. So yes, those are the top documents that you will need to have as a lash technician that are highly suggested that you keep on you in your work area. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, then go ahead and comment any other videos that you would like for me to film, and I'll get started on them. Don't forget to subscribe to the Girl Boss Tribe because we're a vibe. And turn your post notifications on so that you don't miss a beat. The link to the training waivers and the consent forms are down in the description box, as well as the link to my official eyelash extension training manual and the manual plus the instructor's guide if you are going to be buying the manual on an instructor's tip, meaning that you'll be buying the manual to teach to your students. You can also purchase the instructor's guide that teaches you how to teach that manual, my bad. If you will be buying the manual, make sure that you get on it because they're on sale for $100 right now. And then the instructor's guide plus the manual is on sale for $150 right now. So you're basically buying an eyelash extension training manual that comes with live demo videos, legal documents inside for you to have for yourself, for your business, checklists, resources on branding and marketing, and so much more. You're basically buying that for $100 right now. So get on it because this price is not final. This is a starting price, and the price is going to skyrocket. I'm being very honest with you. So yes, if you're interested, then go ahead and check out my description box so that you can go ahead and get you the manual or any document that you see that you're interested in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Mwah.